Beautiful day, beautiful life, beauty all around me. Beauty within, 'cause we are His. Beauty surrounds me. I am beautiful. I am beautiful.
Good evening and welcome to Sisters Perspective. So glad you are here with us this evening on this fabulous Monday, October 3rd, 2022. Let's get
Yeah.
it going. We got four sisters in the house today. If this is your first time joining us, thank you for joining Sisters Perspective. It is a podcast and we do go live on YouTube and Facebook as well. Just sisters getting together, having a good time, talking about whatever's relevant out there and some stuff that's not really relevant, but just fun to
Not at
talk
all.
about. A lot of not relevant, but fun to talk about stuff. But we have a great time doing it. So if you're joining in, please go ahead and share. Tell all your friends to log in, join us tonight for a lively conversation. We're going to be talking about organs, organ donations, and other fun stuff. So we will see where this conversation takes us on tonight. Just in the pre-show, we had a great conversation about Jeffrey Dahmer and some
Yeah.
organs.
Yes,
But we may or may not continue that line of
She
thought.
had to do it, girl.
We may or may not continue that line of thought. But if you're joining us, please, why don't you type in and let us know you're here, that you're watching with us, that you're joining in. Go ahead and type something in the comment box, in the chat box for us so we know who's with us today. While you're doing that, we are going to go ahead and check in. And let's start. I'll start. Let's do a check in, a quick check in about the storm adventures. Dun, 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 dun. How
What?
how did you weather the storm?
Oh, that's the one.
Those of us who were in the pathway of Hurricane Ian. I like to say it Ian. I've heard some people say Ian. I feel
that's
like
not
that's Ian.
It's Ian.
That's not they, it's a little more classy. He's Ian. Hurricane Ian. Let's see. For me, Hurricane Ian, it took down one of my trees in my front yard. But other than that, it was okay. My tree
And you
fell
don't
over.
even live in Orlando.
I don't, but Hurricane Ian stopped by South Carolina as well and
He did.
did a good bit of damage in certain parts of the state, which we have lots of flooding and things like that. Lots of wind. Took down a tree. Luckily, my car was not in the driveway at the time that the tree came down because my car was at the airport. Why? Because I was stuck in Charlotte trying to get back home, and so my
Mm-hmm.
car was at the airport. And my wonderful husband, shout out to Sean, drove 4 hours to Charlotte to pick me up so I would not be stranded. He braved the storm, came and got me, brought me back home. And
What?
so I made it home late Friday evening and was happy to be back in my house. So my storm adventure was one that I don't wish for anybody to be stuck in the airport, not able to
Mm-mm.
come home. But nobody was hurt, and my vehicle missed the tree falling on it. So it was great.
Yay.
Good.
Yeah, it was a small tree, but probably would have scratched it up pretty bad. But that was me. We weathered the storm okay.
Good. That's wonderful.
That is wonderful.
Thank y'all.
Charles is so supportive. That's so
Yes.
nice.
Charles, what about you?
What did I do? We weathered greatly. Everything everything was fine over here. We had a little piece of our fence kind of fall down, but it was not really even our fence. But you know when you share one with your neighbors, so a little piece of that fell. Other than that, we were good. Our power didn't even go off. I thought we was gonna make it, but then Thursday morning it finally went off. I was like, dang. But that's okay. We had a generator and they got us back up and running by Saturday morning. So I can't complain. And it was beautiful weather. It was not hot at all. It was very cool. So it's not like we needed the AC or anything. So I was great.
So Thursday and Friday you didn't have power? Just the
Correct.
generator? Okay.
Correct.
Okay. 2 days. Correct. Thank you. Thank you for that acknowledgement of my correctness.
That
Thank
is
you.
correct.
Right. Carolyn, what about you?
Oh, Lord.
Storm adventures.
Yeah, that's exactly.
It wasn't an adventure.
Aw.
Fun. I didn't want to leave work because I know we're gonna have to make those days up. They're gonna take it out of our Thanksgiving. Still haven't gone back to work. We were out again today, so
Where y'all?
yep. So we're probably gonna have to be in school all the way up until the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So I was not excited when I heard there was a hurricane coming. I just wasn't in the mood for a hurricane.
You just got to be.
You know, some
Yeah.
years I am though. Like when I was a kindergarten teacher, I was like, I don't care, bring it on. But I just didn't really want a hurricane. And then my electricity went out for 4 days.
Mm.
The irony and the irritation of all of that is there was literally no damage anywhere around my neighborhood. None. No damage. And nobody else's electricity was out except for my street. Just my street. You roll around the neighborhood, everybody's lights are on. 2 houses down from me, everybody's lights are on. Down that way, everybody's lights are on. My street completely dark for 4 days. And then what made me really angry, first of all, it didn't have to go off. It came back on Friday morning. I was going back and forth between my house and mom's house, trying to keep Giselle sane and throw food, take what I could salvage over there. Came back home Friday morning and it was on. And I was like, thank God. And I was working out and it went out. It stayed on for 1 hour and then went out for the next 2 days again. And I probably don't have many fans at Duke Energy right now because I'm pretty sure I called everybody that works at their call center. Everybody heard from me.
And it wasn't nice or pretty.
It wasn't nice at all because I just think that they didn't do the best that they could do. Well, I have not had a fun week. It's not been fun, but I get to go back to work tomorrow. So yay.
Yay.
So why didn't y'all go to work today? I just a follow up.
Some of the schools still didn't have power and some of the schools flooded. As of right now, only one school is unable to go back. It's an elementary school, so they just decided to go ahead and let that school not go back, but everybody else can go back to school tomorrow. So, and then we have Friday off. It was already in the plan.
Yeah, because over there in Carver Shores, there's a lady that does dialysis with me. 2 people, one in Richmond Heights, one in Carver Shores. They were completely flooded. They could not get, she said in the 50 years she's lived over there, it's never happened like that before. She couldn't even get to dialysis, which she could have, actually. They were telling her, don't ever do that. They will always send a truck or whatever they need to send in to get you if you're a dialysis patient. But I guess at the time she didn't know that. So, but yeah, it's pretty bad over there.
I heard it was flooded over there, the Kirkman area too, but haven't been over there. Just been sitting in the house looking.
Flooding over here.
Well, we were out of school, but they had e-learning, so they did not miss any days. They just y'all could stay home.
Nice.
You're gonna keep working. So I was like, okay,
even try.
Yeah. Lori, how did it go for you?
Actually, my experience was, of course, great because it bypassed Tallahassee. The Panhandle was not affected at all. And the great part was that I no longer work for emergency management. Now, I love getting information out there, because I worked there for 18 years, but I was so glad not to have to be working 24-hour shifts in the EOC because, look, that is a nightmare. And then having to get people deployed and, all of that kind of stuff. It's just, yeah. But it was a little nerve-wracking checking on you guys. And then when I finally check on y'all, it just started a whole chain explosion. I'm like, how's everybody doing? And then we just had this, my phone just kept blowing up. I was like, what did I just start?
You can't ask us no questions.
I know. I was like, dang, I should just maybe check in later. Check one by one.
No group text.
Next time. Check one by one. Do not put it in the group text.
Girl, that is too many people to check. That's 10. I mean, that's 9 people you got to check with. Ain't nobody got that time for that.
But then all y'all in there just acting up.
They
This
were
is what you
acting
get
up.
when you have a large family and you do a group text.
Yes.
It was
Crazy.
nothing else to do. It was nothing else to do but act a fool.
Yes, and y'all were cutting up big time. I was like, and I was actually at a football game, and I'm like hollering, laughing at the stuff that y'all posted or texting back in there, and people looking at me like, "Why is she cracking?"
Hmm.
I never did get around to going to Waffle House. I should have.
I didn't either.
Never did.
Y'all
My
are
brother
ridiculous.
PJ, guys, he texted us at the beginning to let us know, hey,
Waffle House.
Waffle House is gonna be open throughout this whole storm. So he said him and his
So
baby
make
was going to
sure.
Waffle House. Him and Kyrie.
Don't be sitting up there.
And then Charlotte's talking about going to mom's house for breakfast the very next morning. I was like, girl, if you don't stay your butt in there, they had already put the thing out on
I
the.
did text. It was Thursday. The storm wasn't even gone yet. I was hungry. And I'm
Girl,
like, Mom, can I
damn.
come over there? And then I was like, oh, I'm sorry. It's still windy. No,
Yeah.
I probably should not.
oh,
Y'all
I
had 40, like 48 mile per hour winds still.
You
going.
went Friday? You went Thursday
went Thursday. I got in my car,
morning?
drove over there. It was Thursday at like 1:00. I was sick of that wind. It wasn't nothing but a bad storm outside. Whatever. I got in the car and
It
drove.
was, yeah. Well, by that time we had our generator up and running, so I didn't need to go over there anymore. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you for checking in. All of the sisters, -1 today. Maybe she's still having some power outages.
I am not going to play with you. She the one that didn't lose power.
That's true. That is true. Good
Yeah,
evening,
somebody
Mark
else can come
Chambers.
on here if
Thank
you
you for
need to.
joining us.
Hi, good evening.
Listen, we do have a show on board for us tonight, so we have a guest that we'll bring into the room in just a moment. But of course, before we do, let me give you the joke of the day. Let me give you
Dang
the
it,
joke
we
of
couldn't
the
make
day.
it past that.
You know we can't skip the joke of the day.
No,
I
we
actually brought
cannot.
you a joke from my daughter. Ashanti gave us this joke.
All
All right. What do you call a belt made of watches? A waste of time.
I cannot.
Come on. Y'all gotta get. I need somebody to have a dun dun. Get me.
We got to get a drum.
Listen, let me give you one more. I'm just gonna do 2 today. Maybe. What did the duck say when he bought lipstick? Put it on my bill. You got it?
Oh,
Yes.
okay, you're killing me here. You're killing me.
Thank you. Listen.
Hey, Mom.
One for the educators in the house.
All right, let's go.
Teacher says, kids, what does a chicken give you? The student says, they give us meat. Teacher says, very good. What does the pig give you? Student says, bacon. Great.
Yes.
And what does the fat cow give you? Student says, homework.
That is not nice.
That is horrible.
That was not nice. These jokes today were brought
That
to
is
you by
horrible.
The Laugh Factory. And then, of course, one from my daughter, Ashanti Richmond. Thank you, Ashanti, for giving us a joke.
Thank you so
Laugh
much.
Factory so much. On my way out, what happens to a frog's car when it breaks down? Y'all got to get this one.
I don't know.
He hops along.
It gets towed away.
You know what?
It gets towed away. Over to you,
I hate
Charlotte. Take it away.
I cannot. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you, Jan, for the laughter tonight. Listen, I can see our guest, but she's not in the room with us.
I will bring
Thank
her in
you.
whenever you're ready.
So, yeah, you can bring her in. We have Miss Kia with us tonight. She is the liaison. I like that word, liaison.
You have to say it like liaison.
Right.
Liaison.
She is this for Florida Hospital and Our Legacy, or just for the hospital?
So I am the liaison for Our Legacy.
Okay.
And so, we work with 58 hospitals all across the service area. Some are Advent Health, Florida Hospital. Some are Halifax, Orlando Health,
Right.
Health First. So, we have many different hospital partners. But
Okay.
but yes, I liaison all of those.
Oh, okay. Good, good, good. So these are all of my sisters. Well, not all of them. One is missing. We have Jam, Lori, Carolyn, and myself, of course. And tonight we just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about organ donation. Many people know my story. I am on the kidney transplant list. Yeah, that's how you say it. Awaiting a kidney for the second time. So I had a transplant already for 20 years. It was wonderful. It lasted. It was great while it lasted. But now I am back on dialysis and awaiting another kidney. And so I work very closely with Our Legacy, and I'm on Advent Health transplant list and Tampa General. And I am supposed to be, I'm waiting on Shan's. So I'll be on Shan's soon, but whatever.
And add Halifax to your list too, because that's a kidney transplant center. Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
And
I
you are
didn't know.
local. Yes, ma'am.
I see.
I'm gonna
Even I
text you your
learned.
number right now to the manager.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. You can come on, girl.
So tell us, what is Our Legacy and what do they do?
So first of all, thank you so much for allowing me to come on and speak with you all about the importance of organ donation. You all know it, live it, breathe it, because you are supporting your wonderful, beautiful sister through this journey. But so many people are unfamiliar with the process, the fact that we even exist, the fact that when any of us in any unfortunate time may have a loved one who is in a critical state. And if for some reason, after doctors have done all that they can do for your loved one, if they are going to pass away, we will all be approached by someone in this area from Our Legacy who will ask you to think of someone that you don't even know, a stranger, and ask to save their life. And so my goal is to hopefully educate people and just make people aware of how we can help each other in our communities, but also make them aware of making their wishes known with their families. So that's my goal in being able to educate people. I do this currently in the hospitals where I educate nurses and doctors, and we talk about, those clinical triggers that you have to keep an eye out for. We talk about the process when you're working with families and asking them that big ask. And then we also, I'm on site supporting our team, navigating the process, because it takes a few days. It's not just something you just walk into and, it can happen.
Right.
Because you want to find the most recipients possible. So I've been very fortunate enough to see both sides of it.
Good.
And work with people like Charlotte and other people, other recipients who are on this journey. And so, thank you for bringing me in tonight.
That's no problem. Can we get what is your not email, your website? If people want to go and find out more information as we're talking, what's your website?
So it's ourlegacyfl.org. Ourlegacyfl.org.
If I can get someone on my team to, thank you. My tech team over there. So, Kia, a lot of times when we're out, and we've done Monica May, Star 94.5 before, we've done that. And one of our main goals, of course, is to educate the community. I know with me, when I'm out, they always want me to share my story. And I love to do that. I love it just as much as I like singing. I will go share my story just so I can help somebody else, because now, even as of late, I have a lot of friends who are now dealing with kidney. So mine started back when I was 16. So I was a teenager. But now that we're in our 40s, I have a lot of people that are now on dialysis. And I'm like, no, I wanted to get to you before this happened, because sometimes it is preventable. In my case, no, it wasn't. But God knows all things. He does all things well. That's fine. But in a lot of cases, kidney failure is preventable. But I wanted to ask you about the myths, because we address that a lot. Let's address some of those tonight.
So the number one myth is if I am a registered donor, that if I'm in a car accident and I'm down in the ED, that the doctors and nurses will not do everything they can to save my life if they know I'm registered.
Right.
So you are taking into account that the doctors and nurses have time to go through your stuff as they're trying to save your life.
Right.
To look on your driver's license. You remember when Goddess Threlkel talked about that? She's like, I'm an ED nurse.
Yes.
We didn't have time to look
Exactly.
at somebody's wallet. We're trying to stabilize them.
Right.
So no, there is no, kickback where the hospital goes, oh, wait, they're registered. Oh, we don't have to do anything. Stop compressions.
Right.
No.
Yeah, it never happened.
No, it doesn't even happen that way. The doctors who are trying to save your life in the ED are not even the same doctors who work with our team when we are looking for recipients of your gifts. They are not the same doctors who will declare you brain dead if that's something, if you progress to brain death. They're not the same doctors if your family decides to withdraw life support. They are not those same doctors who will put in those orders and put in those medications for withdrawal of life support. Totally separate teams. I'll tell you, I've educated hundreds of nurses in the years that I've been with Our Legacy. And when I say that myth to them, you should see their reactions like, are you serious? Like, we would never do that.
Right.
That's not even at the forethought of our thinking at that moment. We're not thinking about, the fact that you're registered. I had one nurse in DeLand. She says, when I had the moment to see who this patient was, and I noticed that they did have that red heart and the word donor next to their name, it motivated me to do everything I could to stabilize them, just because I knew the process and knew that they had to go up to the ICU. We would be following in the background to see if for some reason their injuries were, life-threatening to where they, lost all, brain function, or if the family, decided to withdraw life support. She goes, I knew it was a process. I knew that you have to find recipients of those gifts, and it takes sometimes 24, 48 hours to do that.
Right. Exactly.
So I could go on and on about that one, but that's the one I think that most people believe, and that's just the one that's so far off base. You just
It really
oh my
is.
gosh. Yeah. Yeah.
Sisters, do you all have any questions?
Yes. So, it's not necessarily a question, it's just a statement.
Oh, go
because I think people just watch too many bad movies, maybe, right? So this is where they get this thought. And so I just feel like it's important to say it one more time. These are two totally different sets of doctors that we are talking about. The same ones that are operating on you are not the same ones that decide what happens to your organs.
And I think as a donor family, y'all remember the first time we got the call, I don't know if any of y'all ever thought that way, but it never crossed my mind. I was like the nurses. I was shocked that people actually think like that, because we know from being on the other side that this is not even the same team, that it's two different things. So yeah, but she's right. That's the biggest myth that we deal with. Any other questions, sisters?
Okay, since we did talk about some movie things recently, movies do sensationalize things. So
It does.
is it really true that if you have influencer money that you get to the top of the list?
No. So I've sat with our team during this process, and what happens is once we get to that point where the family is supportive of donation and they've authorized support, or say you're a registered donor and we know we're moving forward with donation, and we have all of the information about each individual organ that we know, blood type, how the heart is functioning, how the creatinine is in the kidneys, all these things, the ALT in the liver, things of this nature. Once we have all of that information, we send it to the United Network of Organ Sharing. And UNOS then tells us who is number one on the list, the second recipient, the third recipient, and so forth. We are bound by law. And let me tell you, when I say we are bound by law to start with number one first, we call that Transplant Institute and we say, hey, we have a new kidney for Charlotte. And yes, I'm speaking it because I'm claiming it. um, and so we call, the Transplant Institute, and we say we are at, Florida Hospital or Advent Health or wherever we are. And we have this kidney. It looks like your recipient is number 1 on the list. You have 1 hour to accept this kidney. They have that time. They run their cross matches. They may even bring their recipient in to do some final testing, what have you. And then they say yes or no. If they say yes, then we say stand by. We will let you know when the OR is, and we'll coordinate everybody coming into the hospital for the recovery. If they say no, then we say, okay, thank you. We go to number 2. Number 2 says no, we go to number 3. Nowhere do we get to look on the list and go, oh, you know what? I like that name. Let's give it to her. We don't get to pick and choose. We don't get to say, oh, wait a minute. I know this person or that. No,
Yeah.
we do not get to pick and choose. And, that's another big myth too, that only rich white people get the organs. And that is simply not the case. It is UNOS who tells us which recipients are the sickest, the closest to where we are, where those organs are. And that's how it's decided.
That's good.
Now for Charlotte, you may know the answer to this, or Kia. This whole process that you just described, how long does this take? How long can this organ be sitting here waiting on somebody?
So the entire time where we are allocating or looking for recipients, the entire time that our team is maximizing the function of the organs, because, side note, once a person is deemed brain dead, and this is after extensive testing by 2 separate doctors, and we can talk about that. But once a person is deemed brain dead, or once the family has decided that they want to withdraw life support, then we start to maximize the function of the organs. And we know that work is not something that will necessarily help that person because they're gone. Either they're brain dead, and again, once you are deemed and declared brain dead, there's no neurological function whatsoever in your brain. That means your body will shut down. Once your family has deemed and the doctors have deemed that you are, terminal, you're never going to make a meaningful recovery, and the family wants to withdraw life support, these people have to remain on a ventilator the entire time. They have to remain on a ventilator so those organs can still receive oxygen, and we maximize the function of those organs. Then we go into finding the recipients. So depending on a lot of factors, but depending on the donor hero's stability, depending on the family's timing, they may say, well, we have family coming in Saturday. We can't, withdraw until after that point. We will work with families and say, okay, we can wait until Saturday, as long as the, donor hero is stable. They have to remain on a ventilator. We run into situations where families, understandably have been in the hospital 4 or 5 days. Their loved ones, say, had a stroke. They're not necessarily brain dead, but the doctor has shared that they won't make a meaningful recovery. And we've had families who say, you know what, I just can't, I can't stay here. I can't see my loved one in bed like this any longer. I support donation, but let's withdraw right now. I just can't. I can't stand to see them on a vent anymore. Unfortunately, those are the situations where that person cannot be a donor, because once that mechanical ventilation is removed, those organs start to die. And so it has to be in a controlled setting where you have an Our Legacy, coordinator who's, a former ICU nurse. You have recipients waiting. You have the transplant surgeons in the operating room. Everyone has to be in place. Mm-hmm. And then at the very last moment, then we extubate. And then you only have a few minutes before you have to move into the OR and start recovery. So it can take, from the time someone says, okay, yes, we agree to, donation, it can take 24, 48 hours in order for us to find the recipients to those gifts. So it's all about timing. And I know that's a lot, but that's the thing. It's interesting. And I'm glad you're saying that. The thing is, we do not know this process. No one outside the hospital walls knows this process, yet we are asking families to say yes to this process. We're
Right.
asking families to say yes. Yes, we know that you've been here, waiting with your loved one, and you've come in day and day out, and you see them on a ventilator. It's been 4 days, and we know that families don't understand. It takes a day or two to find a recipient. It may take 3 days to find recipients. You know what I mean? And they may say, okay, enough is enough. That's why I'm trying to do what I can do to make sure people understand the process and understand what they can expect. Because we all know bedside, we can't process anything. Only thing you're thinking about is losing your loved one. There's no way in the world you're going to understand anything about an organ donation process. It's just, that's a lot to ask.
That's interesting that you said that. When you think about it that way, that is not what you're thinking about. So get the information before you get to that situation.
You don't.
Or some
in the movie, they put it in a cooler and it's sitting there for hours at a time, right? And you just think that that's what is happening. But in your situation, someone passed away and they were in there on a ventilator.
You talking about me?
Yeah, until when they gave you the call, they were still there on that ventilator, like she's saying, until you got in the hospital and they were ready, and then they did it and transferred it to you.
Now that makes sense, because remember they called us earlier that Sunday. The surgery didn't happen until 10 p.m. that night, and we were all sitting around the hospital like, what's going on? But I mean, they were running tests and talking to the whole family, making sure everybody knew. And now it makes sense, because the kidney came from North Carolina. So I'm like, they must have flew it.
Yeah. That's exactly what happens. And kidneys can be outside the body, again, in a controlled, environment, and they are, in a sterile environment. They have, like a cold solution perfusing through them. They're on ice. They can be outside of the body 12 hours. But like a heart can only be outside the body 4 to 6 hours on ice. Livers, 12 hours on ice. Lungs, 4 to 6 hours on ice. But then they have to be quickly, transplanted. And when I say 4 to 6 hours on ice, I mean from the time that they are recovered from that donor hero is when that clock starts until the time they need to be inside the recipient. That is 4 hours. So you got to take into consideration travel time,
right?
Making sure, that's why I say everybody has to be in place, because if the recipient is not there and in place, and everyone knows for sure that this is going to be a good match, and after they do all their testing, if that is not going to work out for that recipient, then we have to find another recipient and then go through all that testing. So yeah, timing is this whole entire process is all about timing. It is truly all about timing. Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
I mean, I go ahead. Sorry.
So now, do you also work with like living donors as well?
So we don't work with living donors, but there is like at Advent Health Transplant Institute. Most transplant institutes work with the living donor side. Yeah. We only work with donor heroes who are deceased.
I keep hearing you say donor heroes. Explain
we call them heroes.
I look at them as donor heroes because they are. I mean, a lot of these people said, yes, I want to save someone's life. If at my demise, there's nothing I can do with my organs, I would hope that I would be healthy enough to save someone's life. That's a hero to me. One person can save up to 8 people. And when you look at, the 106,000 people on the national waiting list, and 5,000 of them are here in Florida, there are people, and as well as families, who say, yes, I want to help these people. That's a hero to me. And so I like to always use that term, donor hero, because they are giving of themselves to save someone else.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Laura, was you getting ready to say something?
No.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I agree with you about the hero thing. I had a friend recently just called me out of the blue. I guess he was just curious, like, do people get anything for donating? I'm like, no, we can't pay people for organs. That's illegal. So, I mean,
well, and people are like, well, are you gonna, pay for my funeral costs? Right. No. Are you gonna pay for this? No. I will say this. the organ donation process does not cost families anything. Meaning, once we have authorization, all of the bronchs or CTs, OR time, all those things add up. The families are not passed on that expense. We take care of all of that. Now they pick up the funeral costs, of course, but as far as anything dealing with the actual organ donation process and the doctors doing all their things, no, we take care of that cost.
Well, this has been wonderful, ladies.
I love the sisterhood here. I mean, I can only imagine y'all all in the same house growing up. Now, who's the oldest?
The Afro girl down there.
No, don't hate on the Afro, okay?
I like your Afro.
That's right.
She cute. Okay.
I bet y'all were a handful for your parents.
Were.
We were.
Are.
No,
Some of them still
yes.
are, yes.
And don't let Jam fool you.
Thank you.
Because first of all, we
Well,
all
her
know
jokes.
the truth. And now I will say though, now Mom had always told me, and I think it's just because I wasn't boy crazy. Mom would tell me, "You did not prepare me for your sisters." And that's just because I was a tomboy. So she didn't have that problem out of me. Now, when I got to college, that was a whole different story. I was like, oh, they're kind of cute.
Right. She was fast.
I was a little fast in college, but during school, they didn't have a problem with me. I just did my work and did what I had to do and helped take care of them. But yeah, but we were a handful. I think the most my mom really had out of me was making me come inside because I'd be next door all the time with Mark and Kurt playing, 21 on their goal next door.
Yeah.
So
I think the greatest trouble came from our 5 brothers. The girls.
There you go. Yes, it's 10 of
boys.
us. So
there's 10.
Yeah.
I thought I told you, Kia.
No.
Yep.
Oh,
5 boys, 5 girls.
It's never a dull moment.
Never.
Your mother is like superwoman for
yeah.
real.
Yeah.
Everybody always says.
She is. That's what I was
Yeah.
talking about earlier in that group text. You send out just like one text. I'm just checking on them during the hurricane. I got bombarded and they just started cutting up.
We didn't have nothing else to do. Why not?
Everybody's in Florida.
Except the one with the braids up there.
Yeah. The troublemaker.
I'm in South Carolina right now.
Dr.
Just
Richmond.
fulfilling God's plan and purpose for my life. And
Yes.
my siblings hate on me because of that,
What?
I do not hate
the Lord.
you.
I will allow God to deal with them at some later time.
Don't
I'm
bring
doing God's work.
Don't bring God into your mess. Dr. Jamia Richmond is the assistant dean at Coastal Carolina. Oh yeah, she fancy.
Yeah. Coastal Carolina.
Very good. Very
You like the way I
good.
did that introduction?
Right? I love it. I love it. So you guys come together every week and just have sister time.
Every Monday, yes.
We
I
do it. We
love
like
that.
to try to invite people into our sister time and talk about some, like I said earlier, topics that are relevant, and sometimes they're not so relevant. They're just fun. But tonight, I think, was a topic that is relevant, and it's dear to all of our hearts because, again, we have a sister who has had a transplant and is looking for another one. And like you said, like, we need to be educated. We really do need to be educated about this process. So your website is the best place for us to go to get a good start for some better understanding. Are there any other resources you would recommend?
Donate Life Florida, Donate Life America, amat1.org. It has a lot of information about how donation affects multicultural communities. That's another reason why I've just kind of made it my own personal mission just to talk to as many people as possible, because out of the 106,000 people I mentioned on the list, 60% of them are from multicultural communities, and African Americans make up the number one community that needs an organ. And we don't realize that. I think we look at, oh, my sugar's high. Well, your sugar could lead to your kidneys failing,
Yeah.
or my A1C is off. Well, your A1C is going to lead to, heart disease,
Yeah.
which could also mean your kidneys are failing. I mean, there are so many things that are connected, especially to kidney health.
Yes.
And that's something that can be prevented or at least managed. So you don't have to resort to only being on dialysis. So many people don't realize that you can avoid dialysis. That is not just your path.
Right.
And if you end up on that path, there are other ways for you to get better. And that could be through transplantation. That's going to mean, though, you have to, do things to get healthier, eat better. And that's why we're trying to educate on just healthy living, period. So we can reduce the need for transplantation all around.
Exactly.
And that's just so important to everyone, whether you white, black, purple, or yellow. We all need to be informed of how we can just be healthy and keep our own organs.
So Kia, before we go, is there a website if people were interested in becoming an organ donor, registering? Is that the ourlegacyflorida.org or is there another website?
Yeah, you can go to ourlegacyfl.org. You can also go to donatelifeflorida.org. You can go to registerme.org. Register Me. There's another one. It's a national waiting list. Every state maintains their own waiting list, so every state's different. Some states go through the DMV like Florida. Other states have other means. But yeah, there are multiple ways that you can register for sure. If you have an iPhone, you can register through the Health app as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it has all of your information, like your basic information pre-populated. So it's really simple to do it that way too.
Nice. Well, we thank you so much for being with us tonight, Ms. Kia.
Oh, I'm honored. Thank you. Thank you. Nice to meet you all. And I'm already saying I'm coming back because y'all are too much fun. I love it.
We will definitely have you back. Thank you so much.
Yes,
I appreciate it. I appreciate
Have a
it.
good day.
Take
Have
care.
a good evening.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. So if you are interested in registering to be an organ donor, you can go to registerme.org. If you're interested in being my donor, you can always just message me or call me or whatever. I had someone call me the other day and asked me to be a living donor. They wanted to be a living donor for me. Just, what was this, Friday? Yeah, during the hurricane. And I was like, oh my God, that is so sweet. So I have another possible living donor. We'll see. Hope everything works out. But if not, Lori, I'm coming for your kidney. Okay, Jam, over to you.
Hey. I've been trying to give it to you.
I know.
They're saying we don't match them every point.
Well, really quickly, and then I'm going to you, Jam. It's 7:50. It's coming to you. We went to do my yearly update, and he told us the process. If you gave me the kidney and all that, and me and Alonzo was sitting there like, oh my God, that's a lot. So we are actually getting closer because next year, it'll be 4 years for me on the transplant list. And at that point, they will start that treatment to bring my antibodies down so that we can match because we're only off by one antibody.
Yeah.
But it's a process. Over to you, Jam.
Well, all right then. That was great information. I enjoyed that.
I did.
It was.
I want to encourage people to stop watching so many movies, right? I was watching a movie on Netflix the other day called The Marked Heart. I think it's a series. And this wealthy man has somebody killed so his wife can get a new heart.
I see.
Right? And so, they're walking around with this heart in a cooler, so you just assume that these things, people will assume that those things can happen. But they actually don't. And then you got people like old Jeffrey Dahmer who just got him in his refrigerator.
Being wasteful.
Yeah. No, actually he was eating them.
I was gonna say he wasn't being wasteful.
Oh,
he wasn't wasting them. He was having dinner.
Lord,
he was eating all of them.
Guys, when he ate,
just despicable.
But when he ate that, it reminded me of why you all don't like liver. See, me and Mom love liver, But I was like, oh my God, that's probably how my siblings feel. Like, eating up real liver.
Ugh.
I don't
Just the way
know.
that they showed, I don't know if anybody hasn't seen that yet, but the way that they showed that scene, like him putting the oil in the pan,
Yes,
he
like
was
it's a
cooking,
steak.
getting ready to cook a good
Yeah.
steak and seasoning.
It was ridiculous.
I just was so disheartened by the whole thing.
Yeah, very.
It was.
I did not. That's one of those stories I do not need them to bring to life. The
I know.
actual news story about it is horrible enough. Don't
It is. And
into
they got
life.
enough
Don't put me in
documentaries.
images.
That's fine. We
They
don't need a
really
movie
do.
about it.
They
Yeah,
really do.
it was
And I
something
did
else.
watch like 3 of the episodes on Friday, and I was like, oh my
Did you?
gosh, okay. I was like, I can't do no more.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That
Aw,
is something else.
Yeah.
That is something else.
look at
We
that.
should do, guys. We should do a movie episode where we all watch a movie and just come and talk about it. We
Let's
need
do
to
that.
Oh
that.
yeah, and
Put that
comment.
down.
Yeah.
We should definitely do that. But listen, it's October, the first,
The best month
the
of the
first
year.
Monday in October. Maybe not the best, but it's an okay
Don't do that.
year. A lot of people tend to celebrate all things spooky, Halloween, and just good scary stuff. And so, in honor of that, this month we're going to give you a story. We're going to be reading a story a little, and so I'm going to start chapter 1 of it tonight with y'all as we close out. It is a story written by my future novelist, my daughter, my namesake, Jamia Richmond. And so I'm going to read a little bit of the story to you tonight as we close out. Look at Carolyn's face for sound effects and extra imagery there, okay?
Exactly.
All right,
Um,
here we
Wait,
go.
wait, I've got to start my music.
Oh,
Oh,
She's so excited.
All right, here we go.
I need to turn the lights off. Oh,
The wind blew hard, and the waves twisted and turned the boat. The rain began to pour, and lightning struck the mast of the ship. The ship started to sink. I wake up to the sound of vultures cawing and squealing. I look around. I notice I am no longer on a ship, but I am in a room, in a house. I stand, and my body aches. I look out the window of my room, and I see a beach. The beach has water as clear as crystals. Soren, you're awake, said my older sister, Viviana. Where are we? I asked. The last thing I remember is being on a ship from London to America and lightning striking the mast. I looked around the room puzzled and waited for a response. Soren, I don't know where we are. I haven't seen Mom or Dad either, she responded. I look at her with despair and agony. We both knew our parents were gone. I walked out of the room to see this place was much more than a room. It was a house with all the essentials. I stepped out of the front door and saw my 2 younger sisters, Cora and Delphine, sitting on the beach. Oh, I run and hug them, happy to see they're still alive. I look around and it looks like the island is abandoned. We all sit on the beach waiting and hoping for someone to save us. I think to myself something my father once told me. A brother always cares for his sisters. It was my responsibility to keep my sisters safe. A few hours pass and I must have fallen asleep again. I wake up, still on the beach, with night coming to its prime and a storm brewing. I hear the roar of thunder. I look around and see my sisters have already gone inside, leaving me on the beach. I get up and dash to the door. I open the door in shock. I see all 3 of my sisters' bodies, bloody and lifeless, in the middle of the floor. I run to them and scream. I jut awake out of terror and panic, only to realize this incident happened 10 years ago when I first came to the island. To be continued.
Oh, cliffhanger.
okay.
What happens next with Soren and the family?
Dun, dun, dun.
We shall see. It gets better.
How long is the book? Is this a book?
This is gonna be turning into a book right now. It's just like I think they're
Short
like 2
story.
chapters. It's a short story, yeah. Yeah.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
Very good.
Excellent. Yeah, kudos to Jamia.
Yay, Jamia.
You know, I wanted to write a novel.
Well, go ahead. Go for it.
Yeah,
Right
what's up?
No, it was going to be a sex novel.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Note,
We
everybody.
can still do that. Somebody, what? They wrote what is it called? Summa Kama
Kama
oh,
Sutra.
the Kama Sutra.
Sutra.
That's
Okay.
a fun game. Oh, Mom, I'm sorry. Mom said, "What a story!" I know that's your
Gonna get better.
granddaughter.
Yes.
Y'all gotta make sure you tune in every week.
Well, we're
Yes,
gonna be
to
airing
find out what
Charlotte's story on
story.
the podcast, so
Right.
What?
we already know that.
Come
We
on,
gotta
it's
keep
women.
it PG. There may be
Oh.
young women. Keep it PG, young lady.
That'd be
Anyways.
boring.
You save that for our next girls' night out type of event,
Yeah.
Got it.
or maybe take that to our next Sisters Perspective live event.
Oh God.
Oh God.
Look at your mama. Look at your mama.
No, I love Grey's Anatomy. Grey, 50 Shades of Grey.
Girl, Lord have mercy.
Charlotte in the Gray story.
Charlotte and the Gray story.
That
All
might
right.
be what I name it. Oh.
On that note, y'all, it is 7:57. I have nothing else to say for these last 3 minutes. Anybody else? Or can I sign us off a little early today? Last time they wouldn't let me go early.
We logged on early, and now you want to log off early?
We didn't log on early.
logged
First of
on
all. We logged on late.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Y'all know exactly what I was saying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because
What
we can read
happened,
your mind.
what happened to Sherry?
Not sure.
I text her. She didn't respond. I guess she don't want to talk to me.
Could have been
Her
the same
power
thing
might
that
be out.
happened to Soren. We never
Just
know. We'll
stop,
have to
man.
find out next week.
We'll have to
What?
find out next week, just like Soren. We'll have to find out next week.
Really,
Stay
Lord?
tuned, everybody. We will quiz her on where her whereabouts. next
Just
week.
called me a couple of hours ago. She made pork chops for dinner.
Maybe she forgot y'all had a show tonight.
Yeah.
That's why I text her.
Maybe she got so full from her pork chops that she went on to sleep.
Maybe she.
Jam, I had your favorite tonight, salmon.
Oh, that is some good stuff.
I
It's
on
time
a
for us to
bed-
bring back our fall recipe.
On a bed of spinach. Oh, God, it
Yes.
was so good.
Ooh, Charlotte, I had that Friday while I was stuck at the airport
How did you get salmon from the airport?
in a restaurant, and they had some very good salmon on a bed of sautéed spinach.
Girl, yes.
It was really good.
Cause Carolyn, you know Alonzo is starting a new diet. Well, me and him. Well, I'm actually doing it with him.
You're gonna do it with
So we're going. Yeah.
Dietary
So-
changes.
Why is he not
Yeah.
asking his nutritionist the questions that he's asking me? He can text.
No, he did. He did. He told me to do that. I just didn't want to. I just wanted to ask you. It was.
so mean.
berries.
Why does it sound like it's raining?
I don't know, but since we're talking about food, we need to bring back our fall recipes show so that we can introduce
Yeah.
our audience to some new fall recipes. All things pumpkin. Anybody?
Oh, okay.
Nobody want to do pumpkin stuff?
I
Do
mean, it's,
Oh, does it have to be pumpkins?
It
there's so
doesn't have
many
to.
flavors. You know, you got cinnamon.
Pumpkin squash, whatever. Fall. Let's just do fall.
Girl,
Apple, Carolyn, apple,
apples.
Fine.
Apple.
cinnamon, nutmeg.
Anybody got a great cider recipe? Hey, let's do it.
A great
Fall
sweater.
recipes. All right, we'll do some
Cider.
recipes.
Oh, cider. Cider ain't nothing but hot tea.
Did Lori make some pumpkin porridge or something last
That
night?
was pumpkin cream of wheat. Thank
Pumpkin
you very
cream of wheat.
much.
Don't make that one again, okay?
Everything you said is nasty.
It was good.
Every single thing.
Don't hate.
Don't do that one again. We got the pumpkin porridge.
It was actually
And-
delicious.
Don't do the water pie. Mm-mm.
Oh, no water pie?
No.
No, that's disgusting.
All right. All right, friends and family. Thank y'all for joining us
It's
tonight.
8
We are
o'clock.
definitely signing off now. Y'all have a great week. We hope that your week is as prosperous as it can be, and we'll see you next week on Monday. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.